1000 RPM.
A few months ago, you might remember that I reviewed a Porsche 718 Cayman GT4, and I thought that it was so good that our ever-impulsive founder Adam bought it without even seeing it. It wasn't flawless, and just like you've heard a million times now, I thought it'd be even better with shorter gearing and more noise, and I think that's why Adam didn't quite gel with the car. He said it was a bit too perfect and a little lacking in soul, and rather than modifying it, he swapped it for another 997 GT3, something we all know that we love. But then, we got an email from our friends and Porsche gurus at RPM Technik, saying since you didn't quite fall in love with your GT4, why don't you borrow our GT4 MR and see what you think. Now if you watch anything like as many Nürburgring videos as I do, you'll know that MR stands for Manthey Racing, and they know a thing or two about somehow making GT Porsches even faster. But that's not all. This is a demo car to showcase both Manthey products and RPM Technik's own catalogue of upgrades. So it's had the kitchen sink thrown at it, including the only 2 holes I could pick in the standard car, which could finally unlock its character. So first off, we'll run through what's in that kitchen sink, and then, the bit I'm really looking forward to, we'll grab it by the scruff and see if it's any good.
So while we're starting off in a slower section, let's talk about the Manthey bits. What actually makes this an MR? You get bespoke coilover suspension, upgraded brake pads and lines, these cool air deflectors underneath the car. If you crouch down you can see these fins underneath the car. You get MR struts on the wing and a gurney flap across the back as well. You can also get a really nice set of forged lightweight BBS wheels as an option on top of the package, but this one's just stuck with the standard GT4 wheels. So the package is all about chassis and aero. What you can hear behind me is an unchanged 4-litre flat 6 from the GT4, has the same 420 horsepower as you get from standard.
Now RPM offer quite a few exhausts for the GT4, but this car has a system fabricated by the same specialist that built RPM's CSR systems.
It retains the factory switchability via the button on the centre console here, and it's been designed to give more noise while still passing the noise regs at some of the UK tracks like Brands Hatch, which is quite strict, because let's be honest, most of the time something like this is going to see a lot of track days. Now the next mod. This is one that everyone has been waiting for ever since the GT4 first came out, and if you recall my last review of the silver one, it's something that I said I'd like to see. This has RPM Technik's low ratio crown wheel and pinion, aka shorter gears, finally. But you don't actually sacrifice cruising, because on top of that you can option an overdrive 6th gear. So when you're on the motorway and you shift into 6, it revs really low, probably doesn't use as much fuel as the standard GT4, and this also has the light and flywheel as well, which when you put it in neutral and take your foot off the clutch, it has that little chunter that's reminiscent of the 997 GT3 RS, a car which I am absolutely obsessed with, and obviously Adam holds in high regard to have swapped the GT4 for a GT3. Now the final upgrade fitted to this car is one I'm going to need about now, the brakes. Now, the brakes aren't exactly something you would think need upgrading on a GT4, whether it's got steels or ceramics, and you'd be right. I recently drove a GT4 on track with the standard steel discs and they felt really good to me. But RPM Technik have been fitting surface transform carbon ceramic discs to Porsches and maintaining them for years now, and they absolutely swear by them. The whole point is that you get all the benefits of factory carbon ceramics with better pedal feel, and one of the most important points is that they can be refinished twice in their lifetime before replacing them, and then when they finally do need replacing, that astronomical cost that carbon ceramics are known for is actually halved over OEM ceramic discs. And that can be done to any car, whether it's on steels or ceramics. This car actually started life with steels from factory and has been converted to the surface transform ceramics. The same actually goes for the interior. For ages I've looked at these cars on Auto Trader and been put off by the comfort spec ones, because I get why you'd go for the comfort, because these seats are a bit of a pain to get in and out of. But for me, a GT car wants these seats. So yeah, this car actually started life with the comfort seats, which is a hell of a lot cheaper on the used market. It can be anything up to 10 grand cheaper for a non-club sport car. And RPM Technik have put in these gorgeous 918 bucket seats, had them trimmed with the GT4 trim to match the rest of the leather inside. They've fitted a Manti roll cage and their own bespoke floor mounts for the harnesses, so you've got harnesses with these seats as well. So again, it doesn't really matter if you see a good deal on a GT4 and think, but it's comfort spec, so what? I'm sure it's not a cheap thing to convert, but if you're looking for 10k on the market anyway, it might be worth doing. Right, technical gubbins out of the way. Let's do what we came here to do, shall we? Now, before I start, I was so disappointed today when I looked at the weather. It's a bit damp and grey. We're on Cup 2 tyres, but I did drive this yesterday in dry, sunny conditions and it absolutely blew me away. I won't be able to push it anything like that with the tarmac as it is, but still the grip is outstanding. So let's see what we can do, shall we? I've already mentioned the noise, it is fantastic. The only downside with keeping the factory valves, they're wide open now and it sounds incredible. But if you're going a little bit slower, let's say through town, and you just want some noise echoing around, the valves stay closed until 4,000 revs, and sometimes you can be coming out of a slow corner, like here, and actually it just takes until 4,000 revs for the valves to open. So for me, I'd probably just have them on a remote to be able to have them open all the time if I wanted to, but I am a yob, I admit that. Next thing, those shorter gears we've all been waiting for. They are an absolute must-have. Second gear, it goes! In a standard car there, coming out of there in second gear, the revs would be so low, it'd take you so long to get in the power band, so it has so many benefits. Firstly, you're in the power band more of the time, it's easier to access that power band. But from a fun standpoint, it means you're using this manual gearbox more of the time. And it is still one of the best, if not the best manual gearbox I've ever used. The pedals are perfect for heel and toe. You can use the auto blip, which is flawless as well. I won't judge you for it. Hard on the brakes into this corner, down into second. Oh, the front end. And that brings me on to the Manti stuff. Oh, it punches so much harder than a standard GT4 out of those bends despite having the same power. That gearing goes a long way. Anyway, the Manti setup. Yeah, it is not cheap. But my God, it is impressive. People talk about cars being like go-karts. a bit of a cliche, but wow. The thing is, it's more willing to turn than a go-kart. It has more front end dart than a go-kart. I've never driven a road car with a front end like this. In fact, you see Manthey cars, they can set lap times that hang with some racing cars, and you can kind of see why. Put the right tyres on, and I feel like this would hang with some racing cars on track. It's that aggressive. When you look at the front wheels, the camber is so aggressive. But actually, I'm not feeling like it's following too many tram lines in the road or anything. It's very firm, and personally, I'd like them to set it up a little softer for my liking, which can be done. And obviously the coilovers can be adjusted, so if you want to take it on track, you can firm them up, then dial them back. It's all preference really, and I quite like a supple setup for the road. Sorry, you probably can't hear me. But despite it being firm, it's not crashy. It doesn't throw you all over the place. And the lack of roll you get and the front end sharpness you get from the way it's been set up. Wow. Just ferociously quick. It just feels like you can bully it, you can push it so hard, and my balls will run out before this car does, honestly. Feels, especially with this gearing, this feels quick. Honestly, it really does feel quick. I didn't know what to expect, and to be honest thought, well, why do you need to change a GT4? And to be honest with you, you don't need to change GT4. They're absolutely outstanding out of the box. As you know from a previous review, there were two things I would personally change. One was needed more noise, two, shorter gearing. This addressed them both straight away. And whilst I still don't think you need to change a GT4, if you do enough track work or if you drive hard enough that you do want a little bit more from it, there you have it. Can you tell I've enjoyed this?
So there's a surprise. It is really rather good, this thing. And it should be, because it's really rather expensive. What about compared to the 997 GT3 Adam ditched the GT4 in favour of? Well, that's one of my all-time favourites, and pound for pound, I think it's hard to beat. But as a driving tool, I'm not sure it'd see which way this MR went over a road, or especially a track. But overall, I'm not sure any car has ever quite blown me away as much as the GT4 when pressing on over a twisty road. I can't even imagine the way it'd devour a track. In fact, I think we need to make that happen, don't you?